A vibrant city includes kids. And you can't have a diverse, vibrant San Francisco without seeing strollers and kids on bicycles and all the things that kids bring. You know, every time I see a baby or a 9-year-old or even a 15 or 16-year-old, I see the future of San Francisco. And I see people who are really putting their lives to what San Francisco should be. And without families, we lose that core value of diversity, I think. And I'm proud to stand as someone who's going to fight for families, fight for a voice for families, make sure that kids programs have the right funding, and to save our school system, because that's exactly what a neighborhood supervisor should be doing, should be to save the core soul of our city. And I see families as an absolute part of that. And so I'm going to fight for housing, for reliable muni, for well-funded schools, for all the things that make San Francisco the city that we will love even more. Well, there's a lot of things that happen in the schools that I think a neighborhood supervisor could be helpful with. The right transportation, the right preschool programs and after-school programs. I've also pledged to have the principals in my office every month so that we can talk about if there are issues with transportation. Sometimes there's infighting between some of the different schools in the district. I'd want to make sure to keep my ear to the ground on that. I could also promote gelling some of the schools together, some of the middle schools and elementary schools that are right around the block from each other. There's no reason why we couldn't just have one K through 8 school. For instance, if you combine James Lick and Alvarado and Noe Valley. And I've also pledged to do my own school auction that would benefit all the public schools in my district. And you know, there's a new program that's going to be rolled out by the school district that's going to be called Community Schools. And the purpose of the program is to make schools part of the community, just like parks, so that schools would be open past 3 o'clock and maybe earlier than 8 for yoga or dance or any other kind of program that you might be able to have at a school, because people like you and I who don't have kids should have a stake in our school system, and we should have a stake in our school system for a reason to have it there. It's because we do our yoga there, or because we read books in the library, or because we do all these other things. And we need to create more of those community spaces. I'd be the one showing up at the rallies, making sure that we'd be fighting, working with Assemblymember Tom Amiano, Assemblymember Fiona Ma, Senator Leland Yee, Senator Mark Leno, and fighting with our state delegation to make sure we get every dollar that we possibly can back into San Francisco. I'm proud to have the endorsements of Rachel Norton and Norman Yee, who are stellar members of the school board, and I will do what I can to work with them, and Carlos Garcia and the other members of the school board, and all the school principals, administrators, and teachers. Because without teacher involvement and parent involvement and principal involvement, the schools aren't going to be what they should. And that's what public schools should be. We should be proud to be sending our kids to public schools, whether or not it's Harvey Milk Civil Rights Academy or Alvarado or Glen Park Elementary. All the schools should be top-notch. Parks are one of the few places where people actually still go and meet and talk. I'm a dog owner, so when I go to Eureka Valley Rec Center, or I go up to Corbett Heights, or I go out to Outer Noe or to Glen Canyon Park with my dog, it's one of the few places where you can actually strike up conversations with strangers about everything under the sun. The plan for parks is pretty simple. They need to be clean, they need to be open, and they need to be open and closed on time, and they need to be safe. I was proud to serve on the Recreation and Park Commission, proud to chair the Parks and Planning Committee of the Recreation and Park Commission, which managed proposition bond funds that led to the improvements of Eureka Valley Rec Center, Upper Noe Rec Center, Walter Haas Park. And obviously there's some work to be done with Dolores Park, and there's some work to be done at Glen Park Canyon. Let's talk first about Dolores Park, because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. Dolores Park is more than a park. It's really become a town square. And so you've really got to look at the planning for Dolores Park as more than just a park redevelopment. And it's also got to be managed because it's 10 or 14 acres worth of city land. And what's going to be done about it, and how should it be restored, and what it is, and what should it become. And so there's got to be a great planning process around that is more than just affects more than just the neighbors around that. It affects the entire, I think it affects the Mission, the Castro, some of Noe Valley, and even some of that sort of Valencia corridor area. All those folks need to be involved in the process. My job as a supervisor is to make sure that the community has its input and its say, and people need to decide, do they want it closed for an entire time, so that means it'll be open sooner, or do they want it in sections, and is that feasible when you talk to the folks who got the contract to do the work? But Dolores Park is just one part of the mix. Glen Canyon is another jewel of our park system that the center needs to be refurbished. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in that play area, as not only the playground, but the canyon itself. There's a lot of natural areas and other things that need to be done in that part, and I'm hoping to play a very important role once that planning comes underway.